Good morning. Brilliant. It's nice to hear a loud good morning. Okay, my name is... Okay, firstly, let me thank all the participants who are here on time. It really means a lot because the speakers have put a lot in terms of getting the presentations together. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Leadership Consultant Group, for partnering with us for this specific conference. We like to also thank the media partners and all the companies who have trusted Mice Quotient in engaging with us. We strongly believe that, as per our punchline, we believe in engaging minds that really matter, and we want to make a difference in terms of the knowledge and the key takeaways from any conference that we actually execute. And I'm sure that today, it's a small turnout. I don't think it's a really small turnout. It's pretty decent. And we expect the learning that you're going to take away from this conference is going to be exceptional. I humbly beseech each and everyone to take active participation, because each and every speaker over here is here to teach you something from the experience that they have gathered over the last years that they've been in the industry. So we have a lot of experience coming together, and we'd like to ensure that everyone utilize it to the fullest. They are very approachable, each and every speaker. Okay, so do not think that you cannot go up to them and ask them questions. They are mentors for you at this point in time. We believe that each and everyone is accepted an invitation to groom you, right? So make the most out of it. I'm not going to be taking too much time on the podium. I'm going to straight away hand it over to one of the most kind ladies who I have interacted with over the last 1 year. Her name is Sandy Saxena. And Sandy doesn't look her age. She can compete with me in terms of a marathon. And she is an empowerment officer. I don't think I need to say much about her. She's always charged, yeah. She's hiding behind, and she's just going to walk in front. Sandy, if I can ask you to come over here and take over. Thank you so much.
Wow, okay. So I'm going to start this morning by asking the people in the room, how many of you got up early this morning? Hands up. Everyone. And how many of you cleared your agendas to attend the conference today? Everyone. I want to see everybody's hands up, please. Wonderful. And who do you think this conference is for? It's for all of us. So therefore, we own the conference. We own the conference. We own all the information that's going to be shared, and we're going to make it ours, and we're going to become better leaders than we already are. Because you know what? Each one of us is a leader. Do you agree or not? I can't hear, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so we're going to have fun today. And when I say we have fun today, we have a wonderful lineup of speakers who are going to share different information for us, so that when we leave this room, we're going to be absolutely so enriched that when people meet us tonight or tomorrow, they're going to wonder, oh, wow, where did these people go? How did they spend their time? And how can I also get some of what they have, right? So what do leaders do? Leaders share, because they want to empower others to become leaders, correct? So a lot of us in the room today who are quite shy, and that's okay. And during the day, I'm going to be just throwing quotes at you. You may wonder, oh, that's not in the program. Oh, you know what? How does that fit in? Who cares? We're not here to fit in. We're here to stand out, right? And so each one of us in this room is a stakeholder of the conference. And each one of us in this room is here to enjoy, correct? And I have very good cheerleaders on my right, especially this one lady whom everybody should know. She's Gloria. and she is the happiness ambassador. So if any of you are getting too serious this afternoon, I'll be calling on our happiness ambassador to change your energies. But do we have high energy in the room today? Yeah, a little louder. Edwin said something about I don't look my age, etc., etc. Or maybe that's because I put good makeup. Okay? But supposing I tell you, okay, I'm really old and I can't hear very well. So you have to all speak up, right? So whenever I said yeah, you're supposed to say yeah louder than me, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do today is there are three things that we're going to do, right? So we're going to listen, we're going to learn, and we're going to lead. Right? We're going to listen, learn, and lead. Correct? So I want to hear, I want to hear this side of the room shout, listen. Loud, loud, the three tables here. Listen. Learn. Lead. Okay. So I want listen, learn, lead. Loud. Oh, come on. I know there's been lovely breakfast outside. One more time, really nice and loud. Yeah, the leader's already shouting louder than necessary, aren't you? Okay, so we're going to kick off the session today. Just a few housekeeping rules. The exits are on your right and my left. So if there is an emergency, please don't run out. Go in a very orderly fashion. There's nothing to worry about, right? The second thing is, as a courtesy to our speakers and the people sitting next to you, please do refrain from having long conversations on your phone in the room, right? If you do have to take the call, please go outside. And third thing, we all love our mobiles and we do a lot of stuff on the mobile while other people are speaking. And I really don't think it's a bad thing as long as you're doing things on the mobile that are promoting this conference, right? So I don't know too much about hashtags and stuff. I think Saloni can tell us all that. But that's the agenda for the day. You have an agenda in front of you. You also have the detailed profile of the speakers. I'm not going to go and read out everything there is about the speaker because then the speaker won't have a chance to speak. So I'll just start off by our first speaker. And when I read his biography or data or biodata, whatever you want to call it, profile, the first thing that came to mind was Globetrotter. This gentleman has lived and worked in 23 countries. I don't know which age he started, but he's been around the world quite a lot. And it's interesting because this gentleman is going to fire up our brains. And isn't that nice, the first thing in the morning? Get all those brain cells working, get all that gray matter working, right? So, Dr. Antoine Eid, right? CEO of Leadership Consultants Group, head of Brain-Based Leadership Development Program at Cambridge University, leadership and performance consultant, Globetrotter, as I said, in 23 countries. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Dr. Antoine Eid.
Hi, I'm good. I was supposed to be the second speaker, I think. And this is actually a more comfortable position because I get to improvise now. Hello, everyone. Nice to be here. That's my second conference in Dubai since I came a couple of weeks ago. And that's the longest I've stayed in Dubai so far, 2 weeks. And I was planning to extend for another week till next week. I'm really enjoying it here. My name is Antoine. I normally like to start by getting to know everybody, but I only have 30-40 minutes. So let me introduce myself, but please, let's make this an open conversation So whenever you have something to add or to share, just let me know. I live in Cambridge in England, but I travel a lot. As Sandy told you, I just did 4 countries in 1 week just before coming here. And I'm leaving to Kuwait right after. I was born in Lebanon. I'm Lebanese. But I've lived outside Lebanon since 1999. As Sandy said, I'm a leadership and performance consultant, and my job took me to interesting places, interesting companies. The most very interesting one is being part of the coaching team for an Olympic team in Brazil. And we came back with gold and silver medals, a British triathlon team. So it's quite fascinating to work with brains, help brains perform better. And in science, there's a formula for this, which I'm going to try to share as much as possible with you. So I do have the leadership development program at Cambridge University, and I do some PhD research supervision with Nottingham Business School. So leadership is mostly my field, my passion. Otherwise, I do consulting wherever my job takes me. What are we going to talk about this morning? I'm going to do a quick introduction, an interesting introduction about neuroscience and genetics. Some things we know today about the brain we did not know only a few years ago. And then I'm going to talk about the 2 concepts, very interesting concepts, related to genetics, which are the thinking and behavioral preferences. And then relate all of these to leadership. How does knowing what happens inside the brain of people we work with help us become better leaders? Interesting topic? Yeah? All right, so let's start with some fun. We're going to be doing a couple of exercises just to get our energy up before we start the more boring scientific stuff. Ready? Does everyone have a notepad and a pen? Yes. All right. I'm going to give you a series of numbers, just random numbers, and I'm only going to repeat the series once. So write them down quickly, and after each series, I'm going to ask you a question. Please write down the first thing that comes to your mind. Not the second, the first thing that comes to your mind. Ready? 3, 5, 2, 11, 17, 81, 8, 1. Write down the first color you think of. Done? All right. New numbers. 58, 17, 3, 2, 11, 16, 4. Write down the first piece of furniture you think of. Sorry. Everybody done? Now, please, I need you to try to draw a flying horse. Yes. A flying horse, yes.
Can it be a flying goat?
Yes. It can be, but I can see a flying frog here.
You need to wear my glasses.
So, nice. Does this microphone work anywhere I go in the room? A flying horse. Hi, Keisha. All right. Good. A lot of artistic talents in the room. Some are actually quite good. This is really nice. Do you draw? Yeah. All right. What you just did was part of a very big experiment, over 2,000 subjects, 1,000 adults, so age 18 and above, and the other 1,000 kids, age 9 or average 9. Okay? The adults answered the following. Over 80% of adults answered red or blue. Who has red or blue here? Can you look around you? Yeah. And who's got chair? Couch, sofa? So almost everyone in the room has those two answers. And again, most people tend to draw a horse with wings on its back going from left to right. Who has a horse going from left to right with wings on its back? From right to left? That was an interesting observation, actually. I've done this in so many European countries and in America. Going down. Nice. Nice. This, she's different. She's different, yes. She's different. Good. I like this, your weird, she's different thing. We're going to go back to this a bit later. Yes? Yeah? Good observation, but no, we do it anywhere in different rooms, in different setups, and the answers are always the same. Yeah. Okay? So there's no trick here. There's actually, what is your observation about what happened? Why do we have this tendency as we grow older to think in a certain direction? We lose creativity, yes? What else? We think in stereotypes. Absolutely. And there's actually a very nice reason for this, and I'm going to tell you what's the reason. Although we all feel weird that our answers are similar, there's actually a blessing behind this. But look at what happened. Yes, boss? Yes. Okay, good. I will. So you want to challenge me? You want? Perfect. As long as we stick to the 45 minutes. Yeah. So this is what happened when kids were asked the same question. A wider spectrum of colors and furniture, but this was the interesting observation. Magic carpet, helium balloons, airplanes, helicopter. Can you tell what this is? This one. Yeah? This kid knows that some type of mushroom, if you eat it, it makes you high. See the difference between how, yeah? Yeah? Let's do another couple of exercises just to reinforce this idea before I explain to you scientifically what happens in our brain. All right? I'm going to give you one sentence to write. I'm going to say it quickly, but need you not to put a dot on the letter I.
We need to, we don't.
You cannot put a dot on the letter I and a cross on the letter T. Okay? Write in cursive, not in capital. Ready? 1, 2, 10 times I told you not to write the word timber. Timber. See, did you hear your brain talk to your hand? Yeah? It's like there's this program that's very... Yes. Who managed to not make any mistake? One mistake? Two? All right, one more exercise. I'm going to show you a slide, and I need you to read the colors you see there. Okay? So all of us together, and on the count to 3, we read together the colors you see on the board. Ready? 1, 2, go. Nice. Good job. All right, let's do the same exercise again. So you're supposed to be reading the color. Okay? 1, 2, go. What happened there? Why is it that the first one was so easy and the second one was more difficult? Do you know that you use two different parts, completely two different parts of your brain on the 2 slides? Yeah? I'm going to explain to you how is our brain formed, how are our brains formed, and which part in both of them did you use? And the reason why I'm going through all of this introduction is to try to help you understand that people you work with, and each one of us in the room, has a certain program there. And some of this program is very much influenced by genetics and by years of experience. And we have 2 options: either try to change those people we work with, or just understand who they are and just build the strength they already have. Okay? That's why I'm focusing a lot on to help you see that some big parts in us are very fixed and very, very rigid, and they're very difficult to change. That's the difference in... Is anybody here a medical doctor or a neuroscientist? No? All right. So if you have anything to add, please. I normally try to see if there's a doctor here just to use them as a reference for what I'm saying. So this is the brain of a newborn on the left, 9 years old in the middle, and then 18 years old on the right. Newborn. Yeah? So when we're born, everything to us is new. The brain is building all of these neurological connections. Through the senses, we're capturing millions and millions of information, and it's building circuitries in the brain. Billions of these circuitries in the brain. As we grow older, parts of these team up together to form thicker neurons, but lower in quantity. And these become our experiences, our traditions, our habits, the way we do things. And these are influenced by the environment and our experiences. So actually, there's a nice thing behind us thinking alike. Imagine what would happen if every time we see fire, we go and put our hand in the fire. Or every time we walked on a balcony, we keep walking and we fall down. So there's a nice reason why our brains are made to memorize experiences to help us stay alive. And these experiences are in a part of our brain called the reptilian brain. So this is the first part of the brain. Normally, living creatures all have some level of a reptilian brain. Animals all have a reptilian brain. And these brains are responsible for our survival. You're driving the car. In the beginning, we know what we're doing step by step, right? 10 years later, a truck stops, you need to stop. The program works automatically. hopefully, right? That's because you move from the information moves from one part of the brain, this upper part of the brain, the abstract brain, or the neocortex, to the reptilian brain, to the survival brain. What's 2 times 3? 6, right? This information is already memorized in the reptilian brain. If I ask you what's 2 times 3,587, you are going to do calculations in a different part of your brain. Okay? So the 3 layers are the reptilian brain, survival, the emotional brain, or called the animal brain, or the mammalian brain. It helps us create bonds with the family, create the shelter, bring the food, etc., to procreate. And humans develop another important layer, and that's the abstract brain, or the human brain. Logical thinking, creativity, vision, trying to change and create from what nature gives us. Okay, interesting stuff. It all started with a couple of interesting researches. One was by pure accident. First operation, split brain operation to cure epilepsy. So the person had as if they had 2 different brains in the same head. They cut the connection between both brains, left and right, so no more epileptic seizures. But then you ask them, what do you want to do when you grow older? They would write with the left hand accountant, and with the right hand they would write astronaut. This is when we started knowing that there are certain functions in certain areas of the brain, and that's where the research started. The other interesting set of research is on separated twins. So they brought these twins who were born identical, separated at birth, lived in totally different countries or areas, and studied them, and they found scary similarities. There are 120 known famous cases on separated twins which exhibited very similar personality traits. And this shows the influence on genetics, on our behavior, daily behavior. Okay? Some things we know about the brain today we did not know before. There's a big myth on we use only 10% or around 10% of our brain, and that's the biggest myth known about the brain. In fact, we use 100% of our brain. Now, our brain works at much higher frequency when we are sleeping. All right? 2, how many brains do we have? 1, 2, where are they? Other than the brain we have in our heads, do we have any other brain? There's not enough neurological activity around the brain to do some thinking, but there's another place where we find a good set of thinking neurons. Yes, it's called the gut brain. So anything I tell you, just go back and research it. Just put the gut brain connection, and there's in the gut wall area, there's enough neurological activity there to do some thinking, and mostly social thinking happens there in that area. So براس المعدة. Okay, yes?
Who's controlling the brain or the heart? Is when the person, the human being dies, his heart dies, but still the brain is still functioning.
Yes. Who controls what?
Who's controlling the body of the human being?
The heart is just an organ like any other organ in the body. The brain is the center of any.
The heart will stop. The brain will stop.
Absolutely, because this is support. It's a support organ that has a function. We can eventually die if any of the organs stop, or our life is going to be affected. Not only the heart, but the brain will be functioning. Yes, it's absolutely yes. In some cases, yes. If your question is which is more important, yeah, I think we need both of them, and they have 2 different functions. So there's no competition between these 2. What is related to what I'm talking about is the brain is the center of our behavior, our traditions, our culture, the way we do things, and this is where it all happens. And let's relate this back to leadership. Okay? People come with a certain brain. We see them in the interview, we like their brain. But sometimes we forget all those nice things we saw in them and the reason why we're paying money at the end of the month, and we try to make them think in a certain way. Yeah? It's more convenient. I tell them what to do, they're going to do it. But how is this affecting the package they came to work with? All right? This is why the brain right now is the important subject of discussion. All right. More stuff about the brain. Interesting? Is anybody bored? No? How many senses do we have? 5 senses. Have you heard of the 21 senses? We have 21 senses, not 5. They are divided into 9 categories. I'll give you an example. Pain is considered to be a sense. Pain. Okay? So we know about the 5 most important senses, but there's another 16. And you can just easily find them on the internet. Just put 21 senses. How much DNA do we share together in this room? Do you know? Biologist. Yeah? Yeah?
One DNA. So each person is unique.
Absolutely. But
You cannot bring 2 DNA in one person.
yes, we share 99.7% of our DNA together. We share 97% of our DNA with a banana and 99% of our DNA with a monkey. We have similar DNA together. So what makes each one of us different here is 0.03%. But that 0.03% is around 3 billion letters. So 3 billion, we are made of 4 letters, a mix of neurochemicals and hormones. We are made of these during conception. And then they start to build up into becoming us. So these 3 billion are sequenced in a certain way. You remove 1 letter from here, you put it there, and you get a different person. Just 0.03%. Okay? And today with genetic science, there's a lot of tools that can help us actually see that sequence, which affects the way we look physically, blue eyes, brown eyes, bald, blonde hair, etc., or affect also our personality characteristics as well. Okay? You want more? Yes. Yeah? So that's another thing we know about the brain. Our brains are actually quite colorful from the inside. They look gray and boring from the outside. They're quite colorful inside. The dominant color in the brain is purple. Is there internet? Yeah. So that's a 3D scan. It's fascinating, isn't it? And the nerves going through the spine are actually mostly purple. That's also another excellent recent video on the brain activity. Sure. How much time do I still have? Oh, perfect. Excellent. Done? I can send you a copy of this presentation today. You can go on YouTube and just put brain scan. You might get a video like this. Another video, interesting video. This is considered to be the best illustration of what happens in the video. So as you can see, different areas of the brain and different colors in the brain light up as we're doing different things. Right now, as I'm telling you the same information to almost 100 people, 150 people in the room, your brains are lighting up differently. So you're adding this information to an already existing knowledge, and you're getting to a new knowledge, and it's lighting up different areas in your brain. And it looks very much like this. In the program in Cambridge, we take people to the lab for half a day, and they're all hooked to helmets. They can see what's happening to their brains on the screen while we're giving them different exercises. Sorry. Sure. This is, yeah. I'm getting there in 2 minutes. Yes, that's a good question. Let me help you see it in a less scientific way. You remember when we were kids, we played this game where you link dots or numbers together, and you come up with a drawing. Yeah? So on an A4 paper, imagine there's 1 to 20. How easy would it be to link them? Easy, right? 1 to 1,000, more difficult. 1 to 1 million, 1 to 100 million. And by the time, I'm going to add another dimension, by the time we link 1 to 2, the whole grid is changing. That's just an example of the complexity of circuitries happening in our brains. And these circuitries make us do things, think about things in a certain way. They do certain functions. Okay? They light up based on different things, but we have a genetic tendency for our brain to light up in certain areas more than other areas. Okay? And I'll explain this. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's not just, it's not the rigid.
Definitely.
So this can be changed with time, with experience, with information you...
Absolutely. Yes. And sometimes the effect of the environment is so strong that it can override genes. However, each one of us in this room has certain genetic preferences. Let me answer you in a minute as well, after this coming slide. I'm going to talk about the concept of myelination in the brain. Myelination is the concept where the neuron itself accumulates some lipids and fats around the trunk of the neuron. And the neuron itself actually does not move information from one neuron to the other. It's the fat that does this. The neuron is the electric wire. So the more fat we have around a neuron, the more the information travels faster in that area of the brain. If all of us together agree on a gym workout, and starting tomorrow, we will all go to the gym together at the same time, will we all build the same muscles? No. If we all eat the exact same quantity for a year, same food, will we all build fat in the same areas of our body? What defines this? Genes. And the same happens in the brain. The brain works the opposite of the body. When we work out, we lose fat, we grow muscles. When we work out an area in the brain, it grows fat, grows fatter, to help information transfer easier. And that development of lipids is genetically influenced. This is why kids at school tend to be more scientific or more artistic from early ages. If you have kids, you know this. This is because their brains and their preferences are genetically affected. It doesn't mean this is who they're going to become, to answer your question, or that this is not going to change. However, the whole point here is, do I understand what makes the brain of people I work with and work through their preferences? There's one thing that can get affected in this. I mean, I'm going to give a prize to whoever guesses this in a minute. Okay. You already have a star on your forehead. All right? Is this new information? Interesting? You cannot imagine how this impacts the way we lead other people and how much science has an impact on leading others today. I'll talk, before getting here, I'm going to try to, I'm going to try to summarize all of this in a mathematical equation. What makes somebody performant and someone less performant? P, or performance, equals S plus M squared. To be performant, we need a set of skills and motivators. Skills, I'm going to divide them in two. Talent is one. There are 500 million tennis players today in the world, but we only see few names in the top 10. Why is it this way? They all work out very hard all day. They train. They have the best trainers, best facilities, etc. Why is it that we only see these few names in the top 10? Because this very high level of talent, which was coupled by the acquired skills. So talent is a very important part of skills, and the other part of skills are the acquired. That's where the environment feeds the talent. Today, there are more talented pianists in the world who have genetic talent for piano or for music, but never seen a piano. We've never heard of them. We've only heard of Beethoven and of others who happened to have the talent and then got exposed to skills. Right? The other part of the equation of performance are the motivators. And the motivators are two parts as well. First part are the preferences. How does my brain, what does my brain prefer? If I'm in that comfort area, I'm more motivated. And the other part of the motivators are the induced motivators. This is where leadership plays a role. How can I affect people to perform better? My leadership style, motivating them, incentives. Some people are motivated by money, some by a tap on the shoulder, etc. This is the leadership role. Now, here's the interesting part. In this equation, if we go at 4 elements, can you repeat them? So what's the first one in under skills? Talent plus the acquired skills, and then in motivators, preferences plus? Yes. The interesting part in this is 2 of these factors are fixed. And what are they? Talent and preferences. And science says these make over 60 to 70% of our performance. So what remains, the role we play as leaders, is just playing around those 30% remaining, providing the right environment and leading the right way. So no matter how good we are as leaders, we're just playing in those 30%. Unless we know the preferences and talents, then this is where we can help our people reach to maximum performance. Otherwise, we'll be able to reach good performance, acceptable behavior, but not peak performance. You see the importance of knowing what makes, genetically, what makes the preferences and the motivators for people? Yeah? All right, here's a question for you. You know what? The the four areas of the four functions, main functions of the brain are the following. So these are circuitries in the brain that help us think in a certain way. The analytical brain, and we find those circuitries on the left part of the brain. That part of the brain asks why, wants to know the reason behind things, the validity. Algebra, for example, is done there. Geometry on the right side of the brain. Skepticism. People in this room writing down, I want references. What is this guy talking about? This is what the analytical brain is made for, just questioning. The second part of the brain is the structural brain, and that's where, that's the part of the brain that's most practical, turns ideas into concrete exercises, is very aware of time. I ask you now, what's the time? We can approximately tell without looking at the watch, right? That's in that area of the brain. The third part is the social brain, manages our relationship with others, intuition about others, empathy, etc. It happens in those circuitries. And last part is the conceptual brain. What if I can do things differently? How can I apply this? Imagination, creativity, they're all on this part of the brain. Good news is we all have all four. We are just genetically have a preference to use 1, 2, 3, 4 of them more than others. Okay? Does it make sense? Anything unclear? Do we need to clarify anything? So each one of us right now has a preference to think in one or more of these four. Sorry. And these become our preferences. I'll give you an example. Somebody in your team who has high conceptual preference does not like, and there are many people in this room like this, does not like to enter in small details. They tell you, just give me the big picture. Don't give me the small details. They open a long email, they just read the beginning, they don't need the rest, and they understand what's happening. So they want they want to avoid the small details and concentrate on the big picture. Knowing I have somebody in the team like this, or a boss in the team like this, how do I approach them? So in leadership, there's two ways of doing this. We can bring people, not know what makes them, and spend the rest of our career with them trying to make them think in a certain way. And we do this more than we are aware of. And this can lead to conflicts. This is why conflicts happen in organizations. Conflict is also, to put it in a mathematical equation, conflict is the gap between intention and impact. Impact. Anytime there's a gap between what I intend to do with you and how you've received it, the bigger the gap, the bigger the conflict. So knowing the impact is actually very important, becomes very important. Learning leadership skills, this is how I should be, good speaking, good etc., is only a part of it. The other important part is, do I know the brains of the receivers? Yeah? So, to come back to your question, we have this ability as human beings of flexing away from our genetic preferences. I'll give you an example. Who works out here? Who goes to the gym? Excellent. I'm going to use you because you have no sleeves. So if you flex your biceps right now, we're going to see a really nice shape. But what happens if you keep flexing it for the next 4 hours? You're going to get tired. And the same happens in the brain. Our brain has a certain shape, certain preferences. We can flex away from these preferences at any time, if job requires, if leader requires, etc. But the more we flex away from our preferences, what gets affected? I'm going to give you my pin. I'm going to give my pin to whoever guesses this. Every time we flex away from our preferences, what gets affected? No, I want that. No, no, no. Remember the equation I gave you on performance. Who said motivation? Who said motivation? Every time the job requires us to move away from our preferences, we can acquire any skills we want. We can become the best at this. But if it does not match our preferences, our motivation is going to be affected. Our other 70% remaining are going to be. Thank you. You didn't understand? Yes. So somebody who has a preference for structural thinking is someone who likes to receive certain clear guidance, policies, procedures, and just work in a routine job. It gives them great comfort to be there, know what to do every day. Introduce some constant change in the work environment. What is going to happen to them? Regardless of how well they are going to do it, their motivation is going to be affected. I'm talking about all of those people you've worked with who were excellent at the job, but eventually left to do something else. Yeah? Those people you tried to motivate and failed. Yes? Frustration. That's motivation. Frustration is low motivation. Yeah? Yes, doctor.
The main problem we have in our businesses today is happiness.
Yes?
We have to destroy happiness because we live in a period of change. And we have to destroy skills because we need new skills. Those
Absolutely.
skills are optional, whatever they are. So, how do we get to motivate people to accept that they have to throw away all that thing that they took them 20 years from now and learn something new? Because that's what...
Very nice question. Thank you. It's a very difficult task. And the worst thing we can do, how can we motivate somebody or teach somebody to forget the way they think and think in a different direction? Which is not exactly what I was trying to say. What I was trying to say is, I have two ways of dealing with people with me, I work with. I can identify their gaps. I can look at this and say, oh my God, this guy is not structural, and this work requires structural thinking, so let me teach him some structural skills. Yeah? If they really want the job, they're going to learn. If they have the cognitive ability, they're going to learn. Instead, the other way of going around this is, what if I bring somebody who has a structural preference and give them the skills? I'll give you an example. My daughter plays tennis, and she's become really good, wins some regional tournaments. I go and watch her play sometimes and train. On the court, some new players come, first time. They're given a racket. You can feel it from the first 5 minutes. Some kids know how to hit the ball, where to stand. Some, you come back 1 week later, they're still struggling. Okay? So they both don't have skills yet, they haven't learned yet, but they have this talent. They're ready. Who would become a tennis champion? Not the person who only trains 10 and 12 hours per day. They will become good tennis players. Those who reach the top are those who have this training, plus have the talent already. So what I'm trying to say actually, and thank you for saying this, is the exact opposite of what you just asked. I want to identify the talents in people I work with, the preferences in people I work with, and build strength instead of identifying weaknesses and try to fix those. You're going to end up paying the same money. You're going to end up paying the same salaries, but this time you're putting the effort, you're putting the seed where the soil is ready. Okay? Those people will be happier doing something else, somewhere else. So this is against habits. It's all about turning habits into strength. Okay? And what I'm saying is different than, let me try to explain what you're proposing. You are right about we cannot be stuck at a certain way of thinking. We need to think creatively. We need to innovate. Yes, absolutely. But if we bring this back to leadership, I can bring out the best in people I work with if I know their preferences, if I know what they're made of. And then ask them to be creative in that area. Yes? The brains will feel more trusted, will feel happier. There's less pressure on me to change. Those of you who are who have a couple's life, they understand this. It's impossible to change the person you're with. You talk about it, they apologize, come back next week. They're going to do the same thing in a different scenario, right? It's who they are. And the worst mistake leadership can do is to actually work on changing people. On changing people, what people are made of. All right? I'm going to tell you, I think I'm running out of time. People can change. Yeah. We have the ability to change. The question, yeah.
Ideology or, what exactly when you're talking about change?
No. Change their behavior, change their way of thinking, etc. We can change. But why do we need to change? Why do we need them to change? Why did we bring them in the first place if we want them to change? Yes. We are changing. If we want it or not, we are changing. We are affected by everything around us. We are affected by our genetics are changing from one generation to the other. We are changing. This is going to happen. Okay? But the more we ask the brain to flex away from their genetic preferences, the more we are affecting the performance. Okay? I'm going to end with this. There are a couple of tools I use which help. Yes. Yes. Because skills, I divided it in two, talents and acquired, and motivators, preferences, and induced. This is why by two. Okay? All right. Let me end on this. We use a lot of tools to try to measure brain preferences. So in leadership, when we want to grow the skills, just remember that equation. So skills, the acquired, we can test people's skills and see development areas, right? Behavioral assessments, aptitudes, etc. The other parts, genetics and preferences, there are also available tools today that can help measure these. What we do and find extremely interesting and helpful in our leadership development activities is a DNA-based test. So we take saliva sample, we send it to a lab in Switzerland, they sequence the DNA, they analyze it, and we can deduct talents and potential. Only talents and potential from there. That's an example, what you see on the right. So the part in blue is the DNA result. So that person has certain leadership preferences innate, but they've acquired skills in some other areas. So now if I want to develop them, where would I invest in them? In which area? In the innate ones. This is where they will perform better. And this is where the DNA test becomes very important. So it works on the 70%. Another one, which is extremely practical, was developed at Harvard University, called the emergenetics profile. It measures the forethinking preferences as well, those almost fixed parts of our brain which help us receive and think in a certain way. And these can help leaders understand the combination of brains they have in their teams and how these brains can work together. How can I motivate them, incentivize them? Which tasks do I allocate to them, etc. Okay, any questions? This is it for me. Any questions? Yes, doctor.
Then
Yes.
Creativity is stressful.
Yes.
And so there's no comfort zone there.
Yes.
So the thing is, if I understood you rightly, you're proposing that somehow we calm our people and lead them gently towards the end. It is not always possible.
Absolutely. It's the
I
biggest
mean,
challenge.
you have to, it is, to get the extra effort, you need the extra pay somehow.
Yes.
Yes. So could you, that's what happens in practice. I mean, maybe there are happy companies elsewhere. I have not met them, I've been around the world.
Yes.
Because effort is painful. The achievement is the satisfaction. Happiness, you get it when you achieve. But it's a very short-lasting thing because then you have to go to the next one. So how, if I understood what you're saying, is that we have to sort of gently lead them towards where we want them to go. And what I'm arguing is that this is difficult because we cannot gently lead them.
I think we all agree with what you said, Doctor. Let me summarize what I said in very briefly. We've all heard of situational leadership and emotional intelligence, right? These are two concepts about leadership, understanding situations and understanding people and leading them accordingly, right? I'm just trying to provide you here with scientific tools to know what these people are made of. Would this help you lead them better or not? Definitely. So this is the summary of everything. We need to recognize the importance of those programs, the built-in programs they come with, and the strength they have in their brains. Yes, doctor. I'll give you my microphone. Yes.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Very good morning, everybody. I'm very glad to be here. I mean, it happened that I'm here for a business trip one day, and then I was invited to this nice event. I think what Antoine is trying to say is what differentiates manager from leader is a leader would tap into his followers, identify their strength, capitalize on that to boost their motivation, to find really the way to go and achieve more. The normal, what the gentleman over there is trying to say, it doesn't happen in life, okay? You need to put people under stress so they can achieve more. Both will achieve more if you put them under stress, but who will achieve more if you put someone under stress, in his comfort zone, and you capitalize on that? He will perform more. Would people change? Definitely. This is one of our human natures, to adapt, okay? If you put our under threat, we will adapt. We need to survive. If you threaten your employees, they will adapt. They need the job, okay? So they will find a way to get things done. But this is what a manager would do. A leader wouldn't do that. A leader would really find the strength in his team or her team, capitalize on that, okay, to boost their motivation, and they will do amazing job, amazing job. And this is what really, these tools or this knowledge helps you really understand more and more the differences in your team. Creativity, I mean the notion of creativity and innovation, which really leads everything nowadays, okay? You have to be innovative, you have to be creative. You can be creative in your preference zone, okay? And then you complement. Wouldn't it be better if you're analytical or social or whatever, if you team up with, if your preference is social and your team member is analytical and you capitalize on both, you will be a very creative team, okay? But the issue that we ask people to be very creative in things they don't prefer. They don't prefer. I don't like mathematics. How can I be creative in mathematics? You can learn. But you can learn. This is the point. You can learn, and you can team up with someone who is really good. You're conceptual, you're very visionary. You team up with someone who is very analytical, and then you come up with amazing solution. And this is what corporates need to find. They need to find what people prefer, capitalize on that, team up, okay, and build magnificent teams. And this is what leadership is all about.
Nice.
And I'm saying that because not I'm doing it, but I know emergenetics. So,
You've
thank
used
you.
this tool before?
Yeah, I've used this tool with my, by the way, if I can share with you something, I've used this tool with my team. I gave 15 of my team member the tool, the team leaders. They walked away, they came into the workshop, they finished the profile, they understand 100%. There was a huge disagreement in the team. Okay, someone doesn't like the other, and he always criticizes him. And then when they finished the exercise, the workshop, they walked away saying, he's not arrogant, but he doesn't prefer really to be this way. She's not really picky, but she's analytical. She likes to have more details, okay, more information. And when your team understand each other, and when the team leader understands his followers or his team members, the result is amazing. The result is amazing. And I've used it. It worked magnificently with the team. And now, if I'm proud of my team, I'm proud they now understand each other and they understand really how they capitalize on the strength of each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Why don't you come to the front, please? Thank you very much for a wonderful,
Thank you.
wonderful presentation.
It's my pleasure.
Can we have a round of applause, please?
Thank you.
Louder. It's been a very
Thank you.
thought-provoking subject and a wonderful way to actually to start the morning. And
Thank
I
you.
think the essence of what you just said is that we have to use our brains a little more.
We do use our brains. We always do and each one of us in this room is just beautiful the way they are, the way they're made. It's just a matter of understanding the brains, the beauty of the brains of people we work with, and using those.
I just want to ask a very simple question because this has bothered me quite a lot. We talked about connections in the brain and whatever else, and this is a really simple question. It's when people are left-handed, how does that affect their brain?
It's a misconception, this whole story of left-handed use their right brains and right-handed use their left brains. So if this is what you're referring to. Our brains are much more complicated than being defined with left and right. However, having a preference to use a certain side of can affect our thinking in a way. Do you know why do we have two eyes, not just one eye? No? You know that each one of our two eyes has a different function. The left eye is connected to the right side of the brain, and the right eye is connected to the left side of the brain. And one of them measures depth, distances, etc., and the other one makes meaning of things. But because they're connected to the same brain, the process is so fast that we just make one meaning out of everything. Okay? So our brain is such a fascinating device. Another story about the brain. It's the only part of our body that does not get old. The rest of our body reach a certain age and they start degenerating. Until the moment we die, unless we have a brain disease, our brains are still developing. Right now you're focusing on my voice, right? You hear me talk. But you know your brain is registering thousands of information at the same time. If I shut up right now for a second, can you identify other sounds in the room? The fan, the AC, we can hear it, right? We can hear our own breathing, probably. The brain is registering all of those, but we're focusing on something. At night, when we go to sleep, and precisely during the first 6 minutes of sleep, the brain filters out all of this. This is where learning happens. It filters out the things we don't need and keeps the things we're going to need in the future, and that's called knowledge. All right, I think that's enough for me. Thank you.
And we're going to take a short coffee break, so it'll be a great time for you to exchange views on what you've just heard and discuss it further. There is one housekeeping request, please. All of you need to go to the registration desk. There are certain details that were missed out, not by us, but by the lady who was taking down the details. So you need to see, each one of us needs to see the lady at registration and just check with her what other information is required.